What is one thing in your life that you would like to change but can't? What is one thing in your life that you wish you could change but can't? What's something in your life that you want to control but can't? What's a burden that's overwhelming you that you wish would go away but won't? What's the one thing in your life that you wish you could change but can't? Last Sunday, the readings were really a rally cry towards the great gift of Jesus building his church on the rock, Peter, and the office of the Holy Father, and Jesus' promise that he would not let the gates of hell prevail against his church. And this was all based on Peter's great confession that Jesus is the Messiah. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. It was one of Peter's finest hours. Jesus calls him Peter, rock. I will give to you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And in the same moment, in the same conversation between Jesus and Peter, now Jesus calls Peter Satan. Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle to me. You're not thinking as God, but as human beings do. Last Sunday, Peter was the rock. This Sunday, Peter is the stumbling stone. What happened? The gospel tells us that Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem, suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. My brothers and sisters, we can't really understand the way that this would have sounded to first century Jews. You see, to say you would be crucified meant you were a total failure. And the book of Deuteronomy even says, "Cursed be the one who hangs on a tree." To be crucified was the worst fate possible. So yes, it absolutely was shocking for Peter and the apostles to hear Jesus speak this way. But Jesus was revealing to Peter and the apostles the Father's plan. The Father's plan to rescue us from the slavery of sin. This is God's plan, and Jesus began to reveal it to the disciples. And Peter took Jesus aside and rebuked him, scolded him. "God forbid, Lord, nothing like this can happen to you. Get behind me, Satan." Peter's rebuked back, and strongly. What was it that Peter rejected? The cross. Peter rejected the cross. When Peter stepped aside and began to think for himself, he was no longer the rock, but a stumbling stone, an obstacle getting in the way of the Father's plan. Peter rejected the cross. Peter didn't want to follow, he wanted to get in front of Jesus. Peter rejected the cross. St. Charles of Jesus said these words, "The more we embrace the cross, the more we become one with Jesus." The more we embrace the cross, the more we become one with Jesus. And Jesus speaks to his disciples, and certainly Peter, and he says, "Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." Jesus says, if you want to come after me, you must deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me. So what is the cross? What is the cross? In one sense, the cross is the Father's will. The cross is the Father's plan for Jesus' life. The cross is the Father's plan for each of us. The cross is the Father's will for the Son, that he died to rescue us from the slavery of sin. And Jesus is always obedient to the Father's will. Jesus is always in union with his Father's will. And he tells us as much in John chapter 5, verse 19, when Jesus says, I can do nothing on my own, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. Jesus Christ, Lord of lords, true God from true God, light from light, miracle worker, the one who walks on water, the one who multiplies the loaves, the one who heals lepers, heals the sick, and casts out demons, says, I can do nothing on my own. I can do nothing on my own, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And Jesus affirms this all throughout the Gospels. And when he goes into the Garden of Gethsemane the night before he dies, he even prays, Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me, but not my will, but thy will be done. Jesus always embraced what the Father willed for him. Peter wanted to reject that. So the cross, in one sense, is the Father's will. It's God's will for the Son, and really God's will for each of us, God's will for our lives. But specifically, what is the cross then for us, personally? It is that thing that I wish I could change but can't. It is that situation that I want to control but can't. The very thing that I wish I could change but can't, that is the cross. Could be a relationship. Could be an illness, a character flaw in us, something in our past, something currently in our lives now, in the present. Worry about the future. The cross is the very thing I wish I could change but can't. Wherever reality is not what we would like it to be, and we can't change it. Whenever reality is not the way that I would like it to be, and I can't change it, that's the cross. The cross is usually that thing we want to get rid of, but can't. We can feel like Jeremiah today. You duped me, O Lord. You know, he was drawn to be a prophet of the Lord. And then as it went on, his life was just fraught with difficulties, immense sufferings. And we can feel that way too about our vocation, marriage and family. Many priests struggle in their vocations because it just isn't what we thought it would be. We can feel that somehow we've been duped by the Lord because the cross arrives. And you know, we're no better than Peter, because we too say, God forbid, Lord, this shouldn't happen, it can't be this way. We want to get rid of the cross. And so often our prayer is constantly asking God to get that cross, to get it out of our lives, to remove it. We want any other way, any way possible except the cross. We're no better than Peter. At the first announcement of suffering, at the first sight of the cross, we'd rather another way, to cut and run. And then we begin to focus and obsess on what we'd like to change but can't. And this makes us fearful, it makes us anxious, it makes us doubt. We begin to think on our own all the time about how to figure things out, how to get control, how to be self-reliant. But St. Paul challenges us to change our thinking, Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, to trust in something beyond what we know, beyond how the world thinks and views situations. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good, pleasing, and perfect. What is the will of God? All that is good, pleasing, and perfect. What is the will of God? The cross. It's the cross. It's the plan, the Father's plan for our lives. And so how do we transform? How do we transform? We take up the cross. Jesus tells us, take up the cross and follow me. Embrace the Father's will for us. To take up the cross means saying, Lord, I want you to have your way. I want you to have your way in my life. And Satan is always trying to take us away from the cross. He's always trying to pull us away from the cross. And why is that? Because the cross is the place of complete and total trust. The cross is the place of total trust in the Father. The cross is the place of total surrender. The cross is the place where we totally rely on the Lord. It's the place where we embrace his will, like Jesus. And what was it that Satan was always after? And in the temptations of the desert, 3 times Jesus was tempted by Satan to do what? His own thing. Do something apart from the will of the Father. Turn these stones into bread, and break your fast, and jump off this parapet, and make a spectacle. Take these kingdoms for yourself. Satan is always trying to get us to do our own thing, to follow our own will, because that's what Satan does. That's what Satan chose. He doesn't want us to take that cross. The cross is the place of total trust. The cross is the place where we say, I can do nothing on my own with Jesus. We say with him, I can do nothing on my own. And when we carry the cross, we rely on God and not on ourselves. We say, I can't do this anymore. I can do nothing on my own. To take up the cross is to trust in God. To take up the cross means to totally surrender ourselves to his will. The Father only wants happiness and joy and peace for us, but it's only going to come through the cross. It's only the cross that we will find true joy and happiness. This remains a mystery for us because we don't like the cross. The cross reminds us of our weaknesses. It reminds us of how we are powerless, and we don't like that. But the cross, often the thing we hate, needs to become the thing we love, because it's likely the holiest place in our lives right now, if we let it be that way. Because it's the place where I am completely dependent on God. It's the place where I'm in total trust with God. And our place of weakness then becomes the place of God's power. And we can begin to say then, when we embrace our cross and carry it with love, we can say with St. Paul, who writes to the Corinthians, the Lord said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Paul continues, I will more gladly boast of my weaknesses, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. The more we embrace the cross, the more we become one with Jesus. Peter was called to carry the cross, and so were all of his successors. And the call and the invitation to carry the cross is given by Christ to every member of the faithful of the church. To take up our cross, to embrace God's will, to follow Jesus in all things, to embrace it, to not break from it. Because we often pray that the cross would go away. And when we do that, we're saying, Lord, just please take this away from me, and then I won't need you as much. But the place where we need God most is the holiest place to be. It's the cross. The thing that I'd like to change but can't. The situation I want to control but can't. When we carry the cross, we place our trust in God. For the cross is the place of total trust. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.